Good day and welcome to this Monday segment of A Week at the Plot. The last day of February. I mean, extraordinary. Where has January and February gone? Am I going to be saying that throughout the whole year? Where is January, February, March? Where's January, February, March, April? But really, I don't know. But I am going to crack on with another job today, and it's a job in preparation for something that I'm going to be doing in March. Maybe not quite on the day that it normally happens, but it's always around about the same day for me usually, and that is planting out of early potatoes. So it's tradition to do those on the 17th of March. I won't go into that because we're still in February at the moment. But I wanted to prepare the bed, and as you may remember, we've got two raised beds here. All of our beds, apart from the flower border bed next to me here, are edged beds. We have two large raised beds that are 36 centimeters high, and in those, one year we grow carrots and parsnips, and the next year we grow early potatoes. So we've got two of them. So of course, one year, the one in front of me here, that had parsnips and carrots in it, and it's still got remnants in it, so I need to get on and do that. And then the one behind me, which you can't see, that had our early potatoes in it. The one behind me will have the parsnips and carrots this year, and the one in front of me is going to have the early potatoes. So I'm going to get on and sort out that bed, and I'll take you along with me. This is the bed I'm going to be clearing today. Here we have parsnips, the remainder of our parsnips, which I'm going to be taking out. Over here we have some of the lunar white carrots that I was going to save seed from, but actually I found that we've got a full packet of seeds, so I'm going to take those up and use those in soup. Here with the little red ribbon, this is a London Market carrot that I am leaving in there, and will be saving seed from that when that goes to seed, obviously. Over here is a California poppy, which is self-seeded. I'm going to take that out and put it elsewhere, and you can just see here and here a couple of poppies. I'm also going to transplant those. This is just a weed, and these other green bits are carrots. So yeah, I'm going to crack on and get these parsnips out. Oh, I just hit the camera tripod leg then. Right. Oh, and then if I have time, I'm going to cover this in more cardboard. You can see here a couple of more large turnips. I'm going to cover this in more cardboard. So we've harvested more turnips from around here, but these are the only ones left now. So if I get time to do this, I will do. Otherwise, it can wait. I've removed all the parsnips, rather nice final harvest. I've removed the lunar white carrots that were in here. They will make a good soup, be a bit tough, but will make a good soup, and they'll be blended up and most probably put through a sieve as well. The California poppies up here and the poppies that were here have been transplanted into another bed. I've left the London Market carrot that we want to save seed from. I've left the bottle next to it, and I've left its marker in there, and it's got its little red tag on it as well. And what I've decided to do is cover this with cardboard and then put compost on top like we did for the soft fruit bed the other day. I'll leave this bit here though just exposed. I thought it would be an idea to do what we normally do with our Colleen potatoes, which is make a hole and plant them through deep into the hole. But I thought this year what I'd do is I'd put cardboard down, compost on top, and when we plant out the seed potatoes, we will make a hole in the cardboard and plant through the cardboard, hopefully reducing further the amount of weeds, because there does tend to be some couch grass that comes up in this bed. Not too much, but some. So hopefully by putting down the cardboard, we'll still have fabulous potatoes, but it will reduce the light that would get to the couch grass as it begins to grow up from the bottom. Fingers crossed. That's job done. And as you might be able to see, I also had enough cardboard just to cover the bed on the far side of this bed as well. I've left the 2 turnips that are in the ground in there. We'll have those in a stew in a couple of days time, and they're not going to harm underneath the cardboard for a few days. But yeah, pleased to have got this job done, and it is beginning to spit quite regularly with rain now, so I think I've got it done just in time. So I will leave it there for today, and I'll see you again for another segment of A Week at the Plot in a completely different month of this year. Bye. Good day and welcome to the 1st of March, which is the beginning of meteorological spring. We have the spring equinox later in the month, which is the start of astronomical spring. But yeah, today is the start of meteorological spring. I thought we'd have a look at our chitting potatoes. You can see here the chits are sort of quite nice and strong. There's chits on all of them. Yeah, they're looking good, and in fact in the trays on the left and right, they're looking just as good as these, so I'm happy with that. These are Colleen, as you may remember, early potatoes, and they'll be going in, I think, in about 3 weeks time, something like that. Not quite the 17th of March, which is the traditional day to sow, or plant out rather, seed potatoes, but I think shortly after that. Let's go and see if the Portuguese cabbage in the polytunnel have germinated yet. We sowed them just under 2 weeks ago, I think. Let's go and have a look. In moving from the shed to the polytunnel, it seems to have gone from drizzling to raining, so you might hear a patter of rain on the polytunnel as we go through this bit. This is the tray of Portuguese cabbage that we sowed just under 2 weeks ago, and indeed there is germination. There's some there, a little bit there, some there, and some there. So I'm really pleased to see that these have started germinating. I also noticed that on our Portuguese cabbage that are in the big brassica bed, they are beginning to throw up their flower spikes, which I hadn't expected them to do for another 3 or 4 weeks, to be honest. But I guess the winter has been so mild that they're throwing them up early. So where I was hoping that we'd have brassicas through to May, maybe we'll only have them through to the end of April. And if that is the case, then just as well that I sowed these, because we're going to need these seedlings. Our broad beans that were sown in modules, they really could do with going out, and I hope that later this week we'll get these out. I think I can, maybe I can't, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I'm thinking I can see some flowers beginning to form, but maybe it's wishful thinking. I sort of hope there aren't any flowers beginning to form, because I don't want them forming yet. I certainly want the beans to grow more, and I want them out in the ground where they're going to grow on before they start throwing out their flowers. It's certainly turning into a bit of a grim Tuesday afternoon. We had some rain this morning, but then it largely dried up, though was still damp. And as I say, when I was coming down here, well, I don't think I have said this, but when I was coming down here, it was beginning to drizzle. We'd had some rain, but it was drizzling at that point. And now it's turned into definite rain, and I think we've got this for the next couple of hours. But you know what? That's fine, because that will help with the soft fruit bed and with the potato bed, where we're going to be planting the seed potatoes in a few weeks' time, because those are the beds that I did over the last couple of days and put cardboard down and then mulch or compost on top, and then chicken manure pellets on top of that. So this rain is going to break down the chicken manure pellets, which is great. So it will rehydrate them and they'll break down, then that goodness will start going into the soil. And also the cardboard on which the top layer of compost or mulch is sitting, that cardboard will get nice and wet, or stay nice and wet, because I've already watered it. So it will stay nice and wet, and hopefully the worms will smell the goodness above in the chicken manure pellets and come up towards the cardboard and start breaking down that cardboard. It will take weeks and months. It's not going to happen in a matter of days. But you know what? That's all good. However long it takes is how long it takes. Right, let's leave it there on this first day of March. Wet afternoon. I think we've got another wet day tomorrow. But you know what? All is good, actually. All is good here, at least. See you very soon. Bye. Good day, and welcome to what has become a rather wet Friday afternoon. I left home about 45 minutes ago maybe, and it wasn't raining. Then it started spitting. I had to go to the post box and post something for Jane Kelly, which I've been threatening to do for ages and finally have done today. By the time I left the post box, it was spitting. By the time I got down here, it was raining. I had hoped to do a few things this afternoon, but I'm pretty tired and it's wet, so I'm going to go home and do some work at my desk, which will give me a couple of extra hours, or an extra hour certainly, to have down here maybe on Monday or Tuesday. But I have been doing some tidying, might not look like it there. Continuing tidying here. But what I did want to show you is my now nowhere near as decrepit shed as I had before. It's got new felt on it. It's got a glass panel or perspex panel screwed onto it. The you can see that the felt overlaps the panel, so that water can come over the panel. And few things to do, but basically one of our fellow plot holders took everything out of my shed, braced it, did all this remedial work, new slab of roof wood or whatever, new felt on top, that perspex was cut to size and screwed on, and it'll last another couple of years. Bit more work to do, but I'm so grateful for plot holders here who are, well, some of them are really incredibly kind and generous with their time and their skills. So now I have nowhere near so decrepit shed. I have 1940s shed there, and then over there we have the shed that I normally sit in. And you know what, I'm going to go back into that shed now, take out a bag so that I can do some harvesting of the Brussels sprouts which are down there. And I'll see you again another day. Bye. Good day. I've just got down and found this little bee here, so I'm going to be putting her out. She's literally just woken up in the sun. I got my camera out and she was all sleepy, and now she's sort of woken up and wants to go out, so I'll let her out. And I've also noticed in the corner there, can you see a caterpillar? Not sure what that is, but yeah, let's get this little baby out. We had another work party yesterday and we continued with this hedge, so we've added about, I think in some places, like at the back there, a metre to the hedge, maybe 80 centimetres. But a lot of these bracings you can see at the front are willow from the riverbank that another plot holder cut down whilst tending the riverbank a month or so ago. So it just goes to show how, being on an allotment, you know, people get on with things and other people pick up and sort things out. In this barrow here is lots of rose cuttings, some roses that haven't been pruned for a while, so they're going to be going onto the dead hedge here as well. And then all this ivy will be going into the dead hedge. And if I go up there, you can see we've cut ivy down, and in fact you most probably can't see on this tree here as well, sorry about going into the sun, because ivy can obviously be a huge attractor of wind. It has so much sort of sail to it when ivy is on trees that it can be the ivy that brings down the tree because of the strength of the wind rather than the actual tree being weak. Right, let's just go and have a look at the riverbank where many of these long willow bits came from. We're now at the bottom of the allotment site, and this is our responsibility to manage. Over on the other side, that's Ealing Council's responsibility. That tree down there came down in Storm Eunice and hasn't been dealt with yet, but one of the plot holders did the banks maybe 5-6 weeks ago, cut down these hedges, thinned out many of the willow and the hazel that are down here. Some of the detritus, well, all of the detritus was put here, and then the larger branches were taken up and put into the dead hedge, and we still got more work to do down here, but you know, all of that is good. And going down steps, yeah, so we continue around and then it bends following the river around to the right. So yeah, this is an area that we look after, and it's tended significantly by one plot holder, and then we come down and help. But yeah, a lot of work goes into managing this riverbank. What we do need to do is do a litter pick, because there's quite a lot of litter that does blow into this area. So where I normally walk is sort of over there. You can see other trees have come down, but they've been down longer than the one over here, which, as I say, came down in Storm Eunice. Right, let's get on and do some work. My job for today is to get these broad beans in. We are due a cold snap, but I'm hoping that they'll be okay. And then here are Portuguese cabbage seedlings. You'll remember I said I'd sowed these thinly, hoping for about 30 plants. I think there's most probably about 40 there, all in all. But yeah, these were also, if you remember, I put them onto a bed of compost because they weren't ready to go out. So I put them on a bed of compost underneath the modules, and you can see the roots are there. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to take these out of these modules, and then I'll show you the roots. So these have got pretty good root systems, and in fact they were relatively easy to get out. You can see that that root system is much deeper than the module. The module mostly comes down to where my finger is, and the rest of the roots grew into the compost below. So I think we've done quite well, really, with what we did. I know a few people said, well, you shouldn't be doing that, or do you think you're doing the right thing? But I think it was the right thing for what we could do at the time. Right, I'm just going to plant these out. Let me show you where they are going. So these are the broad beans from Vivi that we direct sowed well, when was it? October? Can't remember. October, November. If I can find the date, I'll put it down below. Well, I will be able to find the date, so I will put it down below. And all I'm going to do now is remove these hoops and just plant what we've seen, the broad bean plants we've just seen, into this area. Just digging a hole to accommodate the roots, to accommodate the module bit as well, obviously, and then firm them in. And then I think I'll be covering them up again. These are now planted in, and I've just top dressed with the compost that fell off when I was doing this job, looking at the roots. And I'm going to sow on the other side some other broad beans that I was given. So the left hand side, the right hand side, these are broad beans that I was given. I have no idea yet who gave them to me. They were in my shed in a glass jar. I have no idea yet who gave them to me. The ones on the left are from Vivi. What I'm going to do is I've changed my mind. I'm not going to sow anymore, because I want to try and save seeds from Vivi's, even though they may cross-pollinate with these here. So I'm not going to do anything about sowing more in here. This is going to be our broad bean bed for the year, and what is in here, and we'll see how they do. And hopefully I'll be able to save seeds from Vivi's, which always do incredibly well. Yeah, and they may cross-pollinate, as I say, but I'm not going to worry about that. Now to put the netting back on to just give them a bit of protection over the coming weeks from the wind, whilst the ones that I've planted out get their root systems going and embedded into the bed. Job done. Well, that's a good morning's work done. It's only 20 to 12 and I've got about another hour down here, so I'll just be tidying things up. But I'm so pleased to have got those broad beans in from the polytunnel into the ground. And actually I'm quite pleased with the way that I did it with the modules, where I put the compost underneath the modules, because it became clear that those roots wanted to come out and they needed something to go into. And because those modules have got such big holes in the bottom, it was relatively easy to take out the roots and not disturb them too much. And what I'm hoping now is, because they've all got a good root system, they'll bed into where they have been planted quickly and well, and they'll be sheltered with the hoop netting for the next couple of weeks, as I say. Another job I've just done, I've helped a fellow plot holder who has got a plum tree on the edge of her plot, between her plot and a neighbour's plot. And we've given it some remedial pruning, which you wouldn't normally do at this time of year for stone fruit like plums, apricots, gauges, that type of thing, damsons. You'd leave them till the later in the summer to actually do a pruning. But because the tree itself has not been looked after for many a year, we looked at diseased wood, we looked at dead wood, and we looked at wood that was crossing and rubbing on other wood, and we have taken all of that out. And now we can let that grow on through the summer and fruit, and then we'll look at doing a pruning in late summer for the fruiting of next year. But yes, it just needed work, because if we hadn't done the work now, which is just when it's coming out of dormancy, that tree would have grown more, there would have been more rubbing, there would have been more diseased wood, so best to do it now. And yeah, that's it for this week's A Week at the Plot. I think I'm just going to be doing some tidying, as I say now, for the next hour or so. And the sun, as you can see, is going in and out and in and out. It is quite warm out there. I think if the sun does come out again, I'll have to take my fleece off. I was going to take it off earlier, but then it got a bit cloudy, so I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, in the sun it's warm. At least there's no breeze, which is lovely today, because that breeze can be quite chilling at the moment. So yeah, it's been a good week for me, really. Got a lot done, and my shed has been improved, so it's the Nowhere-Near-As-Decrepit shed, so it's changed its name. I need to do some tidying up in there. The guy who did it, such a lovely guy, took everything out of the shed, did the work, and then put everything back into the shed, and it's all pretty tidy in there. And the sheer fact of him taking everything out meant that I could look at what he had taken out and go, no, not going to use that, no, not going to use that, right, better keep that. So yeah, so good week, yeah, good week, good plot holders. See you soon. Bye.